You know this opening song? Yeah. Thought you could sit down for a long time, but no, here you are. Namasté, we feel some kind of way, something about.
We say we love, we really love, we see you, we care, we feel so while you're here. That's exactly what keeps me coming back. Namasté, we feel some kind of way, something about. Say we love, we really love, we see you, we care, we feel so while you're here. That's exactly what keeps me coming back. Here at Namasté, we feel some kind of way, something about. We say we love, really love. We see you, we care, we feel so while you're here. That's it. Keeps me coming back.
I don't know. I'm just playing with these buttons here. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Namasté. There we go. So, yeah. Anyway, so welcome. For those of you joining us online, welcome. We are different because you are here. Welcome to this beautiful space, especially all of you who are physically present. Welcome to our beautiful home here in Long Beach, California. We are different because you have chosen to come back here. I know that Terry and I first walked into the doors of Namasté almost 17 years ago, but who's counting? We were looking for a place where we could learn spiritual practices, be of service to others, to ourselves, and we found a home. We found a family, we found friends, we found community. And here we are almost 17 years later, and it just warms my heart to see not only friends, people who I call my family, but people who are meeting for the first time. And so let me just tell you that you are welcome here, that this is a place where love is all there is. We believe that we are a radically welcoming community, that all paths lead to the awakening that love is all there is, and love is who you really are. It is already within you. It is not something that is outside of you that you are reaching or striving for. When we recover from a cold, when we recover from a flu, we are recovering back to where our natural nature was. It is no different. As a child of 12-step programs, I know that that is true. So know that, own it, and be the radiant light that you are. And so for those of you, we also, if there are moments when you may have forgotten that, and life gets a bit challenging, personally or culturally or societally or politically, whatever, and you need somebody to hold your hand through prayer, through treatment, through thought. For those of you who came in, there were prayer cards being passed out in the front, so feel free to take one and hand it back to one of the ushers or put it in the box there. And you can feel free to, after you place what your desire is, to provide as little or as much of the contact information that you'd like. And for those of you joining us from wherever you are around the world, if you would like some prayer, somebody to hold you in affirmative prayer, knowing the truth of who you are through these times, go on our website, namastecsl.org. At the very top, there's a request prayer button. Hit that, and you can fill that out. It's confidential, it's free, and it's powerful, and it is love. And so thank you all for being here, and we're going to turn it over right now to that amazing music team Just wonderful. Just wonderful.
This guy. Thank you, Ray. That was awesome.
Oh, wait, before we do.
Yes. He's got
Art.
more.
I know, he's back. There's more, but wait. Yes, I have spoken about different ways that our community, we feel, is different. Not only are we wonderfully inclusive through the teachings of Ernest Holmes' The Science of Mind, which, if you're not familiar with that, he just incorporated and looked for commonalities of the great spiritual leaders, the great spiritual teachers, the great spiritual truths, and brought it all together. And so that is part of who we are, but as a community, we also defined who we are, and we read it aloud together because there is just power in one voice, one thought, one action. And so on the screen, you can see who we are, whether it's here or online. So I invite you to read it along with me. I honor the place in you in which the entire universe dwells. I honor the place in you which is love, truth, light, and peace. When you are in that place in you, and I am in that place in me, we recognize that we are one. Namaste. Powerful, powerful. And now, we turn it over to the wonderful Namasté music team.
Thank you so much, Ray. Thank you, Ray. That was great. As you're able to, please stand or stay seated, clap, dance, shake around, and sing along. Take a look at the person next to you. Say, I recognize the God in you. Feel the love in the sanctuary. Lift your voice and repeat after me. We come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love. We come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love. Take a look at the person next to you. Say, God knows me and I love you too. Feel the love in the sanctuary. Oh, lift your voice and repeat after me. We come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love. We come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love.
Every walk of life, oh, every creed and color, in kinship we unite, in honor of the God in each other. We come together.
We come together.
We come together.
We come together. Oh, take a look at the person next to you. Say, Namaste, I bow to you.
Namaste, I bow to you.
Feel the love in the sanctuary. Ah, lift your voice and repeat after me. We come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love. We come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love. In the name of love. In the name of love. One more time. In the name of. Bring it on.
Oh, yeah.
Love.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you, Namaste music team. I always think it can't get any better, and then there you go. It just did. My name is Debbie Ann, and I'm a practitioner here at Namasté. And the first thing I'd like to do is invite our minister support, my fellow practitioner, Jackie Pearson Williams, down in front here. And Jackie is going to light the candle for us. And that is a reminder of the divine light that is who we are, always. And this light will stay on during our service, and then it will be extinguished after service because our lights, the divine light that we are, will carry that through to the rest of your day and the rest of your week. Thank you, Jackie.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Thank you. Next thing we're going to do is we are going to read our affirmation together. So if you'll read this with me. There is only one life. That life is God's life. This life is perfect. This life is my life now. Let us pray. There is one life, one power and presence back of all. I know truth is at the center of all life. And there is absolutely nothing in our experience that is not a divine creative expression of God loving us. I affirm that God is over all, in all, and through all. I anchor in this truth and know divine order is the guidance of this service. Reverend Bobby is God's vision made manifest here on earth. Her message is a creative expression of God as her and resonates with all, today and in the future. There is divine guidance, and I surrender to it, knowing that we are one with the fullness of all life. I am in gratitude as we come together for one common purpose, to open the way for a greater expression of God. And so it is. Amen. Next, I'm going to invite up our Board of Trustee for the week, Miss Tori Sina.
Hi, everyone. Oh, it's awesome to see you faces. Oh, the faces are awesome. Thank you, Sunday. Okay, so let's see what we're going to start with here. I think we are going to go ahead and have everybody stand up and say hello to each other, give each other some hugs if you're green. This looks silly. It's right up there. This is different. You're welcome. right, folks, let's go ahead and take our seats. What's that game with the chairs, and if you're the last one, you lose your chair? I don't know. So happy Sunday, everyone, and it was just such a pleasure to hear Ray standing up here again. Oh my gosh, took me back. We love you, Ray. Thank you for the welcoming. I'm Tori Sina. I'm on the Board of Trustees, and I'd like for us to read our Namasté mission statement together. Ready? We are a joy-filled, loving center of spiritual growth. We create transformative connections and build bridges of unity for all-inclusive humanity. We are Namasté. And this is for the collaboration, the mission statement regarding our collaboration. Ready? Through mindful and respectful exploration, we are creating a healthier foundation that supports and engages a whole beloved community equipped to launch new strategies for a thriving spiritual community and center. I was going off of memory, gosh darn. And so this is basically the cycle we go through in our teachings here. So first, we awaken to a new truth in our lives. We realize how that truth is played out in our lives. We take our new knowledge and transform our lives, and then we repeat this process in our lives in new ways. And our power statement, we are a place of connection, healing, and unity. Hashtag we are Namasté, and most importantly, hashtag this stuff works. And moving on, I'm going to go ahead and ask our president to come on up and speak of the dialogue on unification.
Suzanne. So I think you've all had that occasion where you've been talking about something for so long that it's so familiar to you, you assume everyone else knows about it. So I want to be sure that you know as much as I know about the unification process and what's been going on. And I want you to bring your questions to the ELT, which is the Exploration Leadership Team, for the next 3 Wednesday nights. We are going to have a Zoom meeting. Ask any question that you would like. In addition to that, if you're not able to make the Wednesday nights, out in the foyer, there is a large poster where you can write your questions and we'll address the questions. These meetings are on Zoom Wednesday night starting at 6:30. They go for an hour. They're led by the exploration team, and we will answer any and all questions. We'll also answer the questions that are put on the board in the foyer. And these meetings are being recorded and then posted in the newsletter so that if you can't make a meeting, you can see what kinds of questions are being asked and hear all about the process. The most important thing for you to remember, besides those Wednesday night meetings, April 5th, 12th, and 19th, on April 23rd, we are having our unification vote. So we ask all members to come. If you are not able to make it, then see me afterwards, and I can tell you how you can put in a proxy vote. Okay?
Anything serious, I always turn it over to Susan, okay? Because if you really need to listen, okay? So April 16th, we're going to go ahead and be at Seal Beach at the 10 a.m. service, and we'll get to listen to the wonderful Reverend John De Palma over there. And moving forward, we have our daily spiritual practice. It's to jumpstart your weekday morning. Join our practitioners every weekday morning at 7 a.m. for prayer and support and connection. You can call in or join on Zoom. Information is on our website and in the newsletter. The Safe Place, an ongoing hour-long grief support group every second Wednesday at 7 p.m. We created this safe place to support grief from the life events, the changes they bring, and to find comfort in community. So you can register on Eventbrite on that one as well, and look into our newsletter, website, Facebook page. You should have a link for all of these. And my favorite part, the thank yous. I'd like to thank Reverend Veronica for her talk last Sunday. It was beautiful. And I don't see her in the audience. I don't see her in the pews. But Sherry is our admin assistant, and she's amazing. She helps whenever is needed, and she's always ready, always willing, and she also helped us with our fellowship 2 weekends ago. So I just wanted to do a shout out for Sherry. Also, Eileen C. Davis for hosting the Monday afternoon chat. Thank you, Eileen. I won't tell you that it was her birthday yesterday, and I am not April fooling you. And those who attended the Wednesday night discussion with questions and comments surrounding the exploration team. So those who showed up on Wednesday night, thank you for participating. It is our community, so the more involved we are, the more things happen, and we have some ownership, so I love that. Love it. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over once again to our amazing Namasté music team.
Thank you, Tori. You're amazing.
With the choice each new day brings, and with every step you take, bless the progress that you make. The reason you live is found in every gift you give. Love your life and love your dreams. You will do amazing things.
Thank you. Okay, what a beautiful song. Okay, today's topic is letting go and letting in. Often easier said than done. This aspect of vulnerability calls us to loosen our grip and open up to the possibilities that awaken us. Wow, two of my favorite things in life, letting go, which to me means not being in control, and being vulnerable, which frankly, that word frightens me. How many of us like to control things? I do. Your life, your children's life, the president's decisions, and why? Why do we do it? I know for me, I love to be in control, and the reason is because if I can't control every aspect or possible outcome, then something untoward might happen. I could get hurt, physically or figuratively, or if I'm busy trying to control a factor in my daughter's life, the possible outcome is she could get hurt. And at the root of all of this is fear. And what do I do when I'm in fear? I feel vulnerable. And I don't do vulnerability well. I know it takes a lot of courage to be vulnerable. But let's jump back into something I just said. I am trying to control things that might happen. I spend a good bit of time worrying, which means I'm either living from the past or a past experience, or I'm fixated on the future, something that hasn't even occurred yet. So I have a brief story on me trying to be in control in my daughter's life. And my daughter her name is Madeline. When Madeline was a senior in high school, I started to notice that she had a lot of missing assignments. So probably that was the first year, her senior year, where they came up with this new program you could log directly on to the website, and it showed every assignment that she got and every assignment that she didn't turn in. So I would log on every day, and I became obsessed. I really did. I thought, this is great. I can see exactly what's going on. You know, I'm in control. So I checked every day, and when she'd get home from school, I'd grill her. So, what happened? Why didn't you turn in your history homework? What's going on in Spanish? You know, you've got to be in Spanish. What's going on? And on and on. And I knew that if I could stay on top of her 24/7, she would get, you know, an awesome GPA, and then she'd go to a great college, and she would just be set up for life. And, you know, I just went on and on. Her life would be great if I could control this one thing. So, not surprisingly, Madeline was not thrilled. She would, most of the time, roll her eyes, and my favorite is she'd call me dramatic. That was my favorite. So I was beside myself with worry, and on back-to-school night, I rushed immediately to the counselor's office, and I shared my concerns. She smiled at me, and she said, you know what? Maddie knows exactly what she needs to graduate. And we often see this in our senior year for our students. They kind of, you know, a lot of social things going on. They know what they need to do. She's not worried about it. You know, you're the only one worried. So I left and I thought, oh, she just doesn't know what she's talking about, you know. Obviously, I know what's best for my daughter. So I kid you not, I spent the whole rest of that year worried. And it was all about, is she making the right choices? She's not. And doesn't she not know her future is at stake? So the ending to this story is more about me and how I could not let go. I just knew I was right. And then a practitioner once told me that my daughter's path is as divinely led as mine. And furthermore, I needed to stay in my own lane. And that's tough to do as a parent. You know, it's hard. She gets to make choices and decisions, and sometimes she may falter, but my role is to support her on this journey. So now I move forward with faith and courage, and I surrender and be vulnerable and let go of fear. Easier said than done. However, I do know that the fears that we don't face become our limits. And so that's really the end of the story, although I'm wondering if you want to hear how Madeline did. I mean, how did she finish out her senior year? I'll have you know she graduated with high honors from Woodrow Wilson High School class of 2010. So obviously, she kind of knew best. She knew. So thank you, Namaste.
Oh, oh, mercy, mercy me. All things ain't what they used to be. No, where did all the blue skies go? Poison is the wind that blows from the north and south and east. Oh,
Oh, mercy, mercy me. Well, things ain't what they used to be. No, no. Oil wasted on the oceans and upon our seas. Fish full of mercury. Oh, mercy, mercy me. Well, things ain't what they used to be. No, no. Radiation underground and in the sea. Animals and birds who live nearby are dying. Oh, mercy, mercy me. All things ain't what they used to be. No, no. What about this overcrowded land? How much more abuse can she stand? Oh, oh. Yeah.
Good afternoon, Namaste.
good afternoon.
I'm getting over a cold, as in I still have symptoms. I'm not contagious, but I found that I'm a little tired today. And also at the same time, really, really excited about what I'd like to share with you. Letting go and letting in. I think it's the hardest thing to do. And I'm going to give an example where it's the hardest thing for me. See if you have this experience. Stories are everything that we say. And they are because whatever we say has to do with how we feel about ourselves. Every word out of our mouth has to do with how we feel about ourselves and about the world, about each other. It tells us if we're playing victim or hero. It is probably the most identifiable place where we can tell, if we're paying attention, where we're at within our lives. How many of you have a story you tell? Hold on, Tori. You have a story that you've told for a really long time, and you've told it in the same way. A story maybe you've told for years. A story about yourself, a story about someone else, a story about an experience that you've had in your life. But that story that you tell hasn't changed much. Do you have one of those? I'm going to raise my hand. You want to join me? Yeah, just like everybody, right? And the deal is this, it's part of what we practice in this philosophy is the way that we help people heal their own lives is we say, tell me your story. Tell me the story. And the thing about truth is that there is always a truth. There's rarely the truth in anything we say. Emma Curtis Hopkins, who was a teacher of the founder of this philosophy, I call her the Queen of Denial. She was the teacher of teachers, and I call her the Queen of Denial because within her prayer practice, she was the one that came up with deny what's false, ergo, Queen of Denial. And she says this, we thought that sickness was something sent by God, and there is that. Truth is a healing principle and not a sickening principle. That when I'm speaking truth about myself, and if it is negative, then we are practicing from a false belief because it's not the truth of who we are. I grew up really disliking the story Alice in Wonderland. Really disliked it. Anybody else? Yeah. There's a few in the room. Let me tell you why, and for years, so let me see if you've ever done this. I say I dislike something, and sometimes I will say, I just don't like it. I don't know why, I just don't like it. What that really means is I really haven't looked. I haven't looked close enough. I haven't really examined or really looked at why I don't like something. I just don't like it. But what's interesting about Alice is the story of Alice in Wonderland was written by a gentleman by the name of Charles Dobson. He wrote under the pen name Lewis Carroll. And he was friends with these three little girls, Alice Liddell and her two sisters. And the story of Alice and the Adventures in Wonderland, which is what the actual title is, was about Alice Liddell. And she was this really sweet, beautiful little girl who was feisty and stubborn and challenging and loved to draw outside the line or color outside the line or do whatever it was that was in her own mind. It was totally contrary to his own nature. The interesting thing is all the characters in the story of Alice and the Adventures of Wonderland really support Alice. They're all sort of acting around Alice's story. It's part of her story. And she has these nonsensical and outlandish cast of characters in the original story. And it came about because he took these three little girls, the Liddell girls, on a little boat ride. Charles Dobson was a mathematician at Oxford, and he actually had a stutter. And he was also afflicted with a rare neurological disorder that causes strange hallucinations, and it affects the size of visual objects, including it could make him feel tiny or very big. Do you know the story of Alice and the Adventures of Wonderland? So it's part of the story. The disease was called, in the beginning, the Alice in Wonderland syndrome. Now, he ended up writing 4 stories, and the one I wanted to talk about today is Alice Through the Looking Glass. I'm intrigued by this story, and by the way, I don't hate the story anymore. Because I went and explored that story because it showed up all week. It showed up absolutely every day this week, and I went, okay, I guess it's time to look at it, universe. We'll go ahead and do that. One of the things that Alice meets the queen, the Red Queen, and the Red Queen, she was something else, right? In the story of Alice and the Adventures in Wonderland, she was a really, I would say, immature character, and she was petty. She was reactive. Every time someone did something she didn't like, she'd say what? Wow, you guys know the story. It is the most popular children's book in the world. So what's interesting about that is there's a line in the book where Alice laughs with the queen because she challenged the queen. Everything the queen said that Alice didn't like, she would challenge it with the queen. And she says, Alice laughed and says, "There's no use trying." She says, "One can't believe impossible things." And the queen says back, "I dare say you haven't had much practice. When I was your age, I always did it for half an hour a day. Why, sometimes I believed as many as 6 impossible things before breakfast." Now, interesting, can you imagine an adult saying that? No, we don't do that. We don't sit around and think about impossible things. In fact, what's interesting about the story is all the characters in the story are quite frightening in some cases. And yet what Lewis Carroll was trying to demonstrate was the fact that adults are scary people. They are scary creatures. They can be incredibly unpredictable. They can react. They can be both violent, verbally as well as physically. And it doesn't make sense to children. And it didn't make sense to me. Because what I realized about myself is that the Queen of Hearts was my mother. And I got to look at that this week. Now, let me tell you a little bit about what's really amazing about in the story. Alice is talking to the queen again and says, this is about memories. That's the effect of living backwards. The queen said kindly, I found that word right there to be kind of not really in alignment with who she was, but that's the effect of living backwards. It always makes one a little giddy at first. Living backwards? Alice repeated in great astonishment. I have never heard of such a thing. But there's one great advantage in it, that one's memory works both ways. And Alice, of course, says, I'm sure mine only works one way. I can't remember things before they happen. It's a poor sort of memory that only works backwards. I love that line. And the first time I read it was this week. It just showed up for me. I love how that happens. And I don't, but I do. Because I sat with this for a couple days, and what I realized was that we tell ourselves stories. And the stories don't change unless we introduce new information, to which we are now creating a new story going forward. If we only live with a story going backwards, then it doesn't change. As humans, that is what is so unique about us, is that we can change our stories. In fact, in this room, that's what we do, is we change our stories. And we change our stories by exploration, introduction, and test. This last week, Janine and I, there was some information that was introduced, and I'm going to be confidential about it because I have to be, from a standpoint of for our family. But I think the story has something within it that will illustrate my point. We found out some new information, at least I did, And the information would affect our family, and I was incredibly hurt and upset about it and afraid. And in fact, I had to step away, and I don't know the last time I had to do this. And the reason it was so powerful is because I've had a story about a part of our life over the last 3 years. And let me just clarify something. Janine and I are fine. So don't anybody get all concerned that mom and mom are not fine. But this had to do with our family and how we are as parents. And this really affected me, and I had to completely step away and just be in it so I could understand what I was feeling about it. We decided that we would go talk to a counselor the next day. This story that I've had for the last 3 years about who we are as parents and how we engage with Reese was actually a really negative story, and it was hurting. And I have been feeling that for 3 years. We went and sat with the counselor, and we talked about what was going on, and here I am in my, oh my goodness, what's this going to do? And she says this, which she says, Bobby, you don't have to be so catastrophic about it. She checked my panic. And as we talked through about how it is to be parents for a 17-year-old, I realized that I had missed the point entirely. That the story that I had created was so in error. And by the way, it put me as a victim. That should have told me something. When we examine our stories, similarly to what I was just speaking of, that it allows us to challenge the very perspective that we have. We get to examine and explore the truth about ourselves. And often, and I would just introduce this, is that at any point, if I'm a victim in a story, I'm heading down the rabbit hole. And that rabbit hole is deep and dark, and it does not serve us. The reason I mentioned earlier is that Alice in the Adventures in Wonderland, especially Alice in the Looking Glass, I disliked so much was because my mother was the queen, the Red Queen. And as a Red Queen, every day of my childhood I was afraid. My mother was reactionary. You never knew where her rage went. And there was a host of things that happened that I took that story of my mother being a monster into my young adult years. That doesn't mean what was happening wasn't true, but I continued that story into my young adult years. So what happened is my mother had more power over me because I gave it to her and her reactions. And as I started to challenge the story I had about my mother, the Queen, because literally, it's how she acted. As I challenged it, I was able to reduce it down to the fact that I have power in my own life and that I get to choose. But as long as I'm afraid of somebody's reaction to my choice, then I'm going to keep choosing to avoid a reaction or choose to get approval or love or whatever false thing that I think that I can get through that. It doesn't work. I thought that the Queen of Hearts appearing in the story and Alice constantly challenging her was an interesting point that I had missed. That this little girl was challenging this very bigger than life, off with your head kind of person. That's not too out of the realm of what sometimes adults act like. And as I was reading through that this week, and what Lewis Carroll said he pictured, this is how he created the Queen of Hearts. She was sort of an embodiment of ungovernable passion, blind and aimless fury. That's the character he created. Where'd he get that? He got it from the little girl's nanny. That's who the character was. He based all of the characters in the Alice and the Adventures of Wonderland on real characters in the world. One of the things that I got to practice through my life was the fact that we're all having this journey, right? And in this journey, one of the things that was spoken of by the Cheshire Cat, Alice says to the Cheshire Cat, "But I don't want to go among mad people because it's a very mad world in Wonderland." "Oh, you can't help that," said the cat. "We're all mad here. I'm mad, you're mad." "How do you know I'm mad?" said Alice. "Well, you must be," said the cat, "or you wouldn't have come here." I can separate and look at that word as bad as being we're all come here to face what sometimes feels like a madness, feels insane at times, and sometimes that insanity is in me. And I get to face those ghosts, those stories, those things that continue to hold and have power over my life. Guess what? The only way I can do that is first, I have to tell my story. I have to tell it. It's why we have practitioners. The practitioners will sit with you and will hear your story and ask you questions about your story. Basically, the intent is for you, not them, for you to dismantle the power in that story that is holding you back from the life you came here to live. That's what they do. Because we believe that we are all divine beings having a human experience. What's important about that is the very body that we are in is part of the experience. It grows and moves and changes and experiences both health and health issues. Some of those issues are caused by stress and trauma and a host of things in our life. Sarah Polley is the director and producer of a movie that's out right now called Talking Women. Anybody seen that out there? I'm about to go watch it, but I have to prepare myself. It's about a group of Mennonite women who have been drugged with cattle tranquilizer and have been sexually assaulted and abused by the men in their community. And what's interesting about the story is it doesn't stop until they start to talk to one another about what's going on. They are told that their stories are false. And it's an amazing book, and I'm excited to see it as a movie, and I'm waiting. I needed to feel a little bit better to watch it. But I purchased Sarah Polley's book called Running to the Danger. Here's the thing. The stories that we have, they tell us what we should be afraid of. So when we hear these stories, or when we create these stories and continue to tell the story where we're the victim, we are in essence continuing to affirm a sensitivity in us that is not healthy. When we are scared of a person, an event, a circumstance, or a situation, and we avoid it because we're uncomfortable, then we are building neural pathways in our brains to continue and expand our sensitivity. Sarah Polley wrote the book because she got a severe concussion from a fire extinguisher that fell on her head. The symptoms were so extreme, and they lasted for 3 years. She was unable to sit in a room that was lit. She was unable to sit in a room that had any noise. She could not work out. She could not walk down the street anywhere for more than a few minutes. And the doctors kept telling her to avoid the very things that were causing her the migraines, the light sensitivity, the noise sensitivity. She ended up finding a doctor, a specialist, who gave her completely different advice in order to recover from this traumatic injury. He told her, you need to walk towards the danger. You need to walk and be exposed to the very things that are triggering you, the very thing that you're uncomfortable with. And if you keep avoiding it, it will continue to get worse. So she worked with this specialist, and here she is 3 years just suffering tremendously. And she says to him, well, how long will it be before I recover from this? And he said, if you do this, let me just ask, how long do you think it took her to heal? Threw it out. The day would be great. 4 to 6 weeks. Within 4 weeks of working with this doctor, she was almost 100%. But he said to her, and she told her little children this, she had a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old, and he told her, he said, you got to pin your ears back, and you got to just go into that danger. You got to continually expose yourself, because your fear of it is also exacerbating the very symptoms that you have. The problem is, when we listen to our body when it is malfunctioning like a concussed brain, it tells us to do things that are not good for us. Now, for those of you out there that have an injury and you're going to go off and you're going to do, run a marathon, please don't do that, Janine. She worked with these specialists to pick the specific kinds of things that she needed to do to bring back, to retrain her brain, to strengthen her brain, to be able to be exposed to the very things that she was avoiding. When we avoid things, we become weaker when we avoid what makes us anxious. And by doing it over and over and over, we reinforce that anxiety. You see, in the world, we are absolutely an imperfect witness to truth. We will respond according to our fear, which is not necessarily the truth. As adults, I'm looking around the room, as adults, we have a lot more freedom. We are not victims in the world unless we've chosen ourselves to be. By facing the things that we're afraid of, we move from being a victim in the story to the hero. And that's what we do in this room. For me, I forgot that as a child, or maybe I was learning again, that the things that I was afraid of as a child, I did not have to be afraid of as an adult. But I didn't know that. So I had to learn that by facing the very person in my life I was the most afraid of. That's all I could do. I didn't avoid her. Well, sometimes. But I learned by sitting with her and exposing myself over and over. My mother was really struggling. She had lots of issues around mental health. But it allowed me to finally let go of the fear I had. When she died at 12 years ago this year. Our last meeting was fine. Not because she changed, because I did. Because I found me again in it. I found my power, and I found that no one has power over me unless I give it. I also trained myself and explored the story of my mother, which is that she was a victim of probably sexual abuse and a host of things. And so she was acting out from that place. You've heard, hurt people hurt people. Well, victims hurt people too. That's what happens. Because we're coming from a victim place, so we are going to defend and fight, which isn't healthy for us, other people, our children, and what it may be. What can we do? This part I keep thinking about because Sarah Poley said to recover from a traumatic injury, she had to retrain her mind to strengthen by charging towards the very activities that triggered her symptoms. We have to go through it. We have to march right through the danger. March right through the thing that is most uncomfortable. March right through the thing that we keep telling ourselves, which is, for example, if we think we haven't been heard, we need to listen to ourselves. and we need to speak our voice. Not that we haven't been heard necessarily, but to speak in a room and know that our voice matters. I'm going to give you something that I keep hearing from Seal Beach and even in Namasté, which is, I've heard this comment made a few times, which is that the unification's already done. It's done. There's nothing to do. It's already done. Is that true? No. When's it done? What is it? Who determines that it's done? I can't hear you guys. We do. Not the minister, not the board, not anybody that's especially charismatic. We do. We determine when it's done. And by the way, after the vote, is it done? No, it's not done, Susan Calick shouts out. Nothing's ever done. And for me, sometimes I think about that and I go, oh my God, is anything ever done? No. The story is never done. Memories work backwards and forwards. We are continually, that's what we do in spiritual community, is we expose ourselves to lessons. We learn how to be the bigger version of ourselves. We step up when we're asked. We serve each other. We care for one another. We do all those things because it's in the practice, in service, that we face our monsters. In my life, I have met my mother. Since she's died, I have met her at least a half a dozen times. In people, in experiences. And I will meet her until I die because she is my teacher. I love my mother very much because today I have this extraordinary relationship with her, even though she's not here, because she changed for me. I see her for who she really is, and therefore I can have that relationship. And it's one that's loving and beautiful. And to be able to say that is extraordinary. To have the information that Janine and I got on Friday was because we took a risk by telling the story. And that story that I've been carrying is gone. It's absolutely gone. There's a new story in place by going forward. If we feel we haven't been seen or heard, we look here first. What am I doing to not be seen, to not be heard? Because our life, we are no longer children. We are now in a place where we get to run towards the very things that scare us. We must learn to run into the discomfort instead of away from it, because the things we avoid get bigger over time. The things we avoid get bigger over time. That's how it works. For those of you that have a story that you want to explore, there are practitioners in the room that can help you with that. If today is not the day, on our website, you can go on our webpage and you can find prayer, and they will meet with you. We don't do things alone. We're our worst enemy because the story will always take precedent. It will always take precedent. But the opportunity does exist for a new story to be created. And that's where the joy is, that lightness. I'm going to invite you to pray with me. As we come together today, in the beautiful expression of the music, the message of Debbie Ann, and the things that are happening through this unification vote that will be coming forward, the opportunities to dialogue and to bring my own voice into this experience is a necessary part of knowing that we are all one. Any belief of anything other than our oneness is causing pain for me, and I am causing pain for others. So I step into this oneness right here and right now. I speak my story, and I speak this truth for everyone in this room that has this small spark within them to heal an old story, to heal an old belief, and to move forward into a greater expression, not just of ourselves, but of a community that has said yes to something right now. That we embrace each other. That without the critical judgment that we give to others, which is really just the judgment of myself, I lay that aside and I allow each person in my life to be the hero of their story, as I do for myself. I accept this greater truth for myself. For I know that I see the world not as it is, but as I am. And I accept that in principle, knowing that going forward, I have a choice. And I accept that choice in freedom, knowing there is great responsibility and there is effort in it, which is the effort is only the surrender and the letting go. And I know this is truth for each person in this room. So in accepting this beautiful opportunity this week, I allow this message to carry me this week, to be my new practice, and to be the belief that I am divine as I hold that truth for each person here. And I close this prayer, and so it is. Amen.
When it's not always raining, there'll be days like this. When there's no one complaining, there'll be days like this. When everything falls into place like the flick of a switch. Well, my mama told me there'd be days like this. When you don't need to worry, there'll be days like this. When no one's in a hurry, there'll be days like this. When you don't get betrayed by that old Judas kiss. Oh, my mama told me there'd be days like this. Yeah, when you don't need an answer, there'll be days like this. When you don't meet a chance, there'll be days like this. When all the parts of the puzzle start to look like they fit, well, then I must remember there'll be days like this. Oh, take it, Daz. There'll be days like this. Oh, when everyone is up front and they're not playing tricks. When you don't have no freeloaders out to get their kicks. Yeah, when it's nobody's business the way that you wanna live. I just have to remember there'll be days like this. On my dreams, there'll be days like this, yeah. When people understand what I mean, there'll be days like this. Oh, when changes of how everything is. Well, my mama told me there'd be days like this. Oh yeah. Na 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 la 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 la. Oh, oh, oh. Days like this, yeah. Ooh, yeah, my mama told me there'd be days like this. Yeah, my mama told me there'll be days like this. And it's about love, 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 crazy love. Love, 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 crazy love. Oh yeah. Love, 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 crazy love. Love, 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 crazy love. Oh, my mama told me there'll be days like this. Yeah, my mama told me, yeah, there'll be days like this. My mama told me there'll be days, oh yeah, like this.
We could have just had them play, right? Beautiful, beautiful today. Wow. When they play my music, I'm just all in it, right? I'm just in it. I'm just so grateful for this music team that just keeps showing up. It's the time of our conscious giving, so I just invite you to take that gift which is you, that gift that comes from what we do here in community, how we show up, the gift that each one of us are. My goodness, if we could just see how amazing we are. For just a moment, I invite you to imagine that. Everything out of the way that's in the way of me thinking I'm amazing. Everything. Just let it go for just a moment. That just by who you are, how you are sitting there, who you are just as whatever that is enough. And that from that gift, that's where we give. Because we matter. We're enough. So take that gift that's you and place it on your heart. At Namasté, you can see different ways that you can give to this community as we go through this amazing time in which we collaborate with Seal Beach, and we get to be bigger than we could have ever imagined. We get to be in the world, not just in four walls. And so if you will just say our affirmation with me, prayer, as you hold that gift. And for those of you online, you may do the same, please. Speak it with me. Today, I allow the divine radiance within me to shine forth. I open my heart, and the light of Spirit pours into my surroundings, blesses me, blesses others, and blesses the world. We affirm this is true, and so it is. So I just want to say some thank yous to our welcome team in the back, our practitioners for the day. Debbie Ann, great share today. Thank you. And Jackie, if you will go ahead and take the candle, as Debbie Ann mentioned before, we take the candle out because now we're the light. Consciously, intentionally, we become the light that goes out into the world, and we live we don't change the world by changing others. We change the world by being who we truly are. That is what it means to be the light. So thank you, Jackie, for doing that. And I thank our amazing music team, seriously. Matt's over here in the corner doing streaming with his fabulous smile. Sorry you don't get to see it. I get to see it all the time. It's absolutely awesome. Tori is our board of trustee. Susan for stepping in and make sure each one of you are invited to everything about this potential unification. Susan. And so grateful for all those that show up that make this service amazing. In the back, who was our welcome team today? Could you just raise your hand? So Cheryl and Eileen C. Davis. So if you will just rise with me, if you are able. I said with me, I'm already up. Rise like me, stand up, whatever you want to do. So let us go into this prayer with a moment of great intention. For life is a gift. It's the gift that we get. Everyone gets it. They get a gift of life here on this planet. Everything gets that. And so I know that when I imagine in this moment the precious gift that is life. Are we ready? So tell me, what is happening right now? What is it?
It is this thing called life.
Where is it?
Life is in my mind. Life is in my body. Life is all that I am.
Hold on. We're not alone in this, are we?
Life is all that we are.
Now, are we just going to do nothing with it? We're just going to sit here and think about it? Maybe? So what are we going to do with it?
I accept it.
Hold on. Go ahead. For those of you that are playing timid right now, we're going to let you, if it's your first time, not next time. The very practice of accepting that this is life is powerful. Get the story out of the way of playing small. So we're going to accept it. What else?
I am it.
And?
I share it all.
How?
Just the way it is.
Hold on. Because this is my favorite part. Right? And?
Just the way it is not.
Imagine something you're so grateful for. I am so grateful that I have a new story. I am so grateful to let go of the old story. I'm so grateful that I have power. I am so grateful that I'm not the only one in the room that does. I am grateful that I get to play and be in community and grow. I am grateful for my family. I am grateful for everything in my life. Are you? So take that gratitude, Terry. Start with your toes. Let it move up through your body, your legs, into your torso, your neck, up to through your head, and take those hands and feel into that gratitude. And say with me on the count of 3. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Thank you, life.
When the walls come tumbling down, I choose joy. I choose joy. And when the world stops spinning around, I choose joy. When my heart is hard to move and my music's lost its groove, when I have too much to prove, yo, I choose joy, joy.
When the walls come tumbling down, I choose joy. I choose joy. Yeah. When the world starts spinning around, I choose joy.
I choose joy.
I do. When my heart is hard to move, when my music's lost the groove, when I have too much to prove, I choose joy. I choose joy. Sing it with me and joy, 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 joy. I choose joy. Sing it again. Oh, joy, 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 joy. I choose joy. Keep it going, yeah. Joy, 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 joy. I choose joy. Last time, sing it in. Joy, 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 joy.
I choose. Do you choose? 'Cause I choose joy. Choose joy.
Have a great week. Namaste.
We have a birthday girl. Happy birthday to you. Birthday to you. Happy birthday.